everybody, Gina DeLuca here. All right, I am set up today for a straight pour. The base color that I have going here, the base coat and background color, is the Liquitex Basics in Mars Black with some phthalo blue added. I'm kind of wishing that I had used the dioxazine purple instead, but we'll see what happens. It just creates a bit of an undertone. It's barely noticeable, but sometimes, like against other colors, it can make it pop more. So it's a very subtle thing, and really, I don't even think you'd be able to see it. Like where this light is positioned, I can't see a thing, but like on the edge of the cup, it has like a bit of a bluish hue to it. Yeah, so that's just a way to kind of change the undertone of a particular color. The other colors that we're using are the DecoArt Americana Decor Metallics in Garnet, Copper, and 24 karat gold. These colors are great cell makers. I'm kind of going for something fiery here, which is what the blue was in there for, where it kind of just has that, you know, little flickers of blue. I just kind of wanted that undertone. Anyway, we'll see how it turns out. These paints have been mixed 1 part paint, 2 parts Floetrol. That mixture is then thinned with my concoction of 90% water and 10% Floetrol until I get the consistency that I'm looking for, which is, hope you could see this. This is about a 2.5. I'd say it's a 2.5 on my consistency scale. It is making a mound. So this is a little bit thicker than what I would normally be doing. We'll see what happens. It's all about experimenting, right? You don't know what other kind of cool effects you can get if you don't play around a little bit. Before we get started, have you seen the Fluid Art inspiration cards? If you have, you can fast forward about a minute. But if you have not, what we have are 52 cards. There are, ooh, that's a lot of glare. There are 42 technique cards, and each technique card has an associated video here on YouTube. This is the picture of that particular painting in that video. This box here contains a tip for that particular technique. Down here at the bottom, you have the color palette used in that particular painting. And then these 2 boxes can be used together as the basis of a 2-color palette, or you can build off of those 2 colors. Sometimes less is more. And there are also 8 bonus color palette cards. Each bonus color palette card has 5 color palettes. Use all of the colors or just some of the colors. Mix and match the bonus palettes with the techniques, and you have more paintings than you could ever attempt in a lifetime. Lots of combinations. And these are available at my website, ginadeluca.net, and also at amazon.com. And if you get them from Amazon, please do leave feedback. They are sticklers for the algorithm over there, and feedback's a huge part of it. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is put some paint in this cup because I want to make sure that I don't run out. And I'm going to reserve a bit to put on top. Hopefully, if my measurements hold. This is a 20 by 20 canvas, and how I come up with my measurements. So take the length of your painting and the width of your painting, multiply that. And then the number that you have, divide that by 28. You could do 24 if you wanted and be a little on the safe side. I do 28. And then I figure on 70% of that number going into my pour cup. And the rest will be base coat. But sometimes you need more base coat, especially on bigger canvases, because they're very thirsty and they can set up pretty quickly on you. So the reason that we lay down a base coat is so that your paints have something to slide around upon. If you do not have a base coat, it is your poured paints that will stick to the canvas because something has to. And then you run the risk of losing some of your coolest parts during the tilting process because the paints will be rolling over top of themselves. Now, if you have a base coat and your paints are still rolling over top of themselves or each other, or however you want to phrase that, you're probably tilting too quickly. So slow it down. It will get there eventually. I'm gonna pop these bubbles in the base coat. I will do this again, probably multiple times. But as it sits, the bubbles will come to the top. The reason that you want to torch the bubbles in your base coat is so that they do not pop through your pour. That is also why I use a color in my base coat that is also in my pour. If I were to use white as my base coat and then using the rest of these colors for my pour, and I wound up having white cells pop up randomly in my painting, that would not be the most desired effect there. Okay, always check the consistency of your paints before you put it in your cup. Sauce may thicken upon standing. I'm going to pour from up high. I want this to blend and I want it to sink. So I want these cell makers to blend with each other. I'm hoping for like a fiery kind of effect. So what causes these cells? There is no silicone. I hate using silicone. And this is actually not the Rayleigh-Taylor instability, which is caused by using different paint densities. That is another way that you can get cells without using silicone, but that's not what's happening here. This is actually a hydrophobic effect from the matte paints, which are the DecoArt paints. They dry more matte and finish than my base coat, or well, they're the same. But the background color, which is the first color that I put in the cup, I call that the background color because it usually is what becomes the background, and then the cell makers kind of pop to the front and make the cells. So there is a hydrophobic effect that takes place between the matte paints and the glossier paints. And that is what is causing these particular kinds of cells. Okay, and then I'll top it off with what is left in my cup. Doing this, you know, since some of the paints still wind up coming to the top, you know, because that's what they want to do, gives those cell maker paints an opportunity to have a reaction with the glossier paint. You can see they're still trying to pop up. You get back under there. Okay. That should do it. I'm gonna hit this canvas one more time with a torch. More bubbles have popped up. I want to get rid of those sooner than later. I don't like to torch my straight pours after I've tilted it unless there is a place where nothing is happening and I want to see if I can make a little something happen. Okay, so there's some cells that are already popping up in here. Let's make a mess, shall we? I'm pouring from up high because I want these paints to blend as they hit that puddle. And I'll get a little closer as I get towards the end of the cup. Maybe I'll do a couple of little rings. Put my little Fibonacci up in there. I like to pay very close attention to the end because that is what's going to get stretched the most. Okay. The center of your painting is what is going to get stretched the most. So you always want to make sure that whatever you have going on in there looks good, looks pleasing to the eye, doesn't look like a body part. Okay, that's better. All right, so now we let it sit. We be patient. Pop the bubbles. Lots of bubbles are created using this technique because the paint is churning as it's hitting the canvas. It's churning as it's going into the cup. So that means it's pulling some air down with it as it's churning. This torch sounds like it might be approaching its final destinations. Probably seen better days. There must be schmutz there. Okay, so here's a good little lesson. how to spot schmutz. So you can see everything looks nice and even, and there's this little section right here that kind of has this wiggle up. There's something in there that the paint is catching on, and it's making it behave strangely. And what'll happen is if I ignore that and tilt anyway, that piece of schmutz might stay there and cause a ripple everywhere that I tilt. So I must find the schmutz. And so far I have not grabbed anything that appears to be schmutz. I don't know if it was just a little glob of black or if there's something in there. It's so hard to tell, especially before you've stretched it and thinned it out a bit. I guess we'll see. When I start tilting it, I'll be able to tell. Okay, but we're gonna let this sit again for a bit, because as these cells pop up, these are the ones that become Boulder cells. The ones that you allow to form before tilting. Let your puddle percolate. The more patient you are, the better results you're going to get in general. Whether it's mixing or tilting. Oh no. Oh dear Lord. Boy, did I call that. I knew something wasn't right, and it sounds like it's burning through my painting. Oh my God. Y'all, what am I gonna do? How do I get this out? Okay. No plastic. Well, guess I'm going to buy a new torch today. Okay, all right. So that happened. I'm not having a great day, just in case y'all were wondering. Something's wrong with Bigsby. He keeps, there's another piece there. He keeps getting sick. He's eating plenty, but it keeps coming back up. So he's going to the vet tomorrow. And I can't torch anymore. Oh no. Okay. It's all right. We're just gonna roll with this now. I guess I'm gonna tilt. Well, we know this side's going, so let's just do that, huh? Slowly though. Okay, and I'm going to bring it across to the other side. I see more schmutz. I see lots of bubbles. I don't like that. But it's just going to stay that way. Yeah, I think there was some kind of bit of lumpiness in my black paint. Maybe I scraped too close to the side in the jar. Sometimes you can spot the schmutz after you start stretching. It'll look like a raised part. It's actually a little easier to get them out when you start stretching, but once you start stretching is when it starts affecting your composition. So kind of a darned if you do, darned if you don't. Oh dear, I forgot to recenter my paint. I got distracted. Bring the weight of your paint back to center. I thought I was in the center. I was not. If I manage to get like a decent painting out of this, it's gonna be like a Christmas miracle. So you always want to center the weight of your paint before changing directions. And I am seeing schmutz like right where my center is. Oh, geez Louise. I'm seeing more schmutz up top. There's schmutz. No shortage of schmutz in this baby. Extra schmutz, free of charge. Let me see if I can find it. I don't see it. I see what it's doing, but I don't see it. So I don't know where to go digging. If I could pop these bubbles, might help. Okay. Now this last corner is going to move very slowly, but it is important to not rush it. It'll get there. If you've ever had a painting that wasn't level, and left it sit overnight, and then you come back to a completely different painting. That just shows you how much it can move when you think it's done. And I have my canvas on the cup hooks. That's what I'm using to hold it up. And I use that like a pivot. So I'm not lifting this canvas completely off of the table. It's a lot easier on your shoulders, I find. That'll be a little harder if you have, you know, if you're working with a 4-foot canvas. Still works. Just have to be careful that you don't make your cup hook crooked, and then your painting won't be level. Okay. And now I'm just going to adjust the composition a bit. Okay, well, that's a lot better than I could have hoped for with with the day I've been having. Yeah, I'm not mad at it. I really like this dark section right here. It just has this cavernous effect, so I love that. That means I'm probably going to get a ton of pop-up cells right there. Because it's that kind of day. All right, well, I am going to clean up. I'm gonna let this sit. I'm gonna let the pop-up cells ruin my favorite part, and I will bring you in for a close-up. Back in a few. Okay, here it is. So, got the pop-up cells right in the section where I didn't want them. It's all right. They don't all turn out exactly how you want them. You know, you only have so much control. Sorry about the glare. But the colors look great together. I'm not mad at the painting. I'm just mad at the day I'm having. But there it is. So what did we learn today? When your torch starts making a rattling noise, it's probably about to fall apart. So be sure to get that figured out before you wind up with your torch falling into your painting. At least it was on the edge. It could have been in the center. Silver linings. But there it is. I hope you learned something. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe and all of that good stuff. Do check out the description box below for links to my PayPal tip jar if you feel so inclined. Not expect it, but certainly appreciate it. Helps me stay stocked up in supplies like paint and torches. Also, in the description box You'll find the links to my affiliates, DecoArt being one of them, where you can get these awesome cell making paints, as well as Blick, Amazon, and Arteza. Anything that you purchase when you enter through those links, I will receive a small commission at no additional cost to you. So that's how that works. And also you'll find linked to my website, GinaDeLuca.net, where you can find my art and music and fluid art inspiration cards for sale. And of course the cards are also on Amazon. And last but certainly not least, that is the color it's supposed to be. It keeps changing and fading out, but it's a very rich color palette. Yes, you'll find the link to our Facebook group. Go make some art. Join us there. Post your masterpieces. Ask your questions. Get some inspiration. All that good stuff. All right, that's it for me for today. I hope y'all have a beautiful day. Now go make some art.